Waking up alone in Paris on your honeymoon is an unsettling start to any day. Hi, I'm Lisa. Our Parisian getaway, meant to be woven with dreams and shared memories, took a dark detour into a web of secrets when I found an odd message instead of my husband beside me one morning. Suddenly, our love story intertwined with cryptic clues and shadowy figures from the past. Venture with me into a Paris that hides its mysteries behind every romantic facade and uncover truths that tested not just our bond, but our very survival. So, my name is Lisa, and this is my Parisian story. The glow of the morning sun on Parisian rooftops was breathtaking. I stretched, luxuriating in the satin sheets of our boutique hotel room, reveling in the faint sounds of the bustling Paris streets below. I turned to snuggle closer to my new husband, Alex, but instead of the warmth of his body, I found a cold and empty space. Perplexed, I sat up, scanning the room for any sign of him. His suitcase was still there, clothes thrown casually on a chair from the night before, but no Alex in sight. On his side of the bed, there was a folded piece of hotel stationery. With shaking hands, I opened it. "Morning, love. Took a quick walk to grab some fresh pastries for us. Be back soon." I sighed with relief. But then something caught my eye. On the back of the note, written in a shaky script, unlike Alex's usual neat handwriting, "Don't trust anyone." I felt a chill run down my spine. What was this? A joke? But Alex wasn't one for practical jokes, especially not on our honeymoon. Pulling on some clothes, I decided to go down to the hotel lobby. Maybe he was just there, waiting with a basket of croissants, laughing at his little prank. The hallway was quiet, the muted gold wallpaper gleaming softly. I took the elevator, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling. The elevator doors opened to a bustling lobby, but no sign of Alex. I approached the receptionist, a tall woman with raven black hair and striking red lipstick. "Excuse me," I began. "Have you seen my husband? Tall, brown hair, green eyes?" She looked up, her gaze cold and distant. "No, madame. I haven't seen anyone matching that description." I thought back to the mysterious message. "Don't trust anyone." Panic bubbled up, and my mind raced. Maybe he'd been kidnapped? But why? We were just two newlyweds from Ohio. Suddenly, I remembered something. A week before our wedding, Alex had mentioned an old college rival, Derek, who had become extremely wealthy and influential after a major tech breakthrough. They had both been in competition for the same job, and Alex had won. Derek had never forgiven him. The pieces started to come together. What if Derek was in Paris? What if he had found out about our honeymoon destination and planned something to get back at Alex? I decided I needed to act. The police would take too long, and Alex might be in danger now. So I thought of a plan. First, I needed to gather information. Derek had a prominent online presence. If he was indeed in Paris, there would be some digital trail. I headed to a nearby internet cafe, blending in with the tourists. Within an hour, I found a photo on Derek's Instagram, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, uploaded just the day before. My heart raced. This was it. This was the confirmation I needed. But how to get back at him? Then, an idea formed. Derek was a proud owner of a vintage Bugatti, a car he flaunted at every opportunity. I remembered Alex once mentioning that Derek would be devastated if anything happened to it. With newfound determination, I began my revenge plan. I would hit Derek where it hurt the most, his prized possession. But first, I needed to find out where he was staying, and for that, I needed help. I remembered a contact Alex had mentioned, an old college buddy named Ethan who lived in Paris. I decided to reach out to him. Using a burner phone I purchased, I dialed Ethan's number. "Ethan, it's Alex's wife. I need your help." I could hear the surprise in Ethan's voice. "What's going on?" I recounted the story to him, and by the end, he was fully on board. Together, we began our mission to find Derek, save Alex, and deliver the revenge he deserved. The city of love was about to become the city of revenge. Ethan's apartment overlooked Montmartre, giving a panoramic view of Paris. As I explained the situation, his normally relaxed demeanor turned grim. "So, you think Derek has something to do with Alex's disappearance?" "I'm almost sure of it," I replied, "and we need to act quickly." Ethan thought for a moment. "I might have an idea. I know someone who works at a high-end hotel frequented by the rich and famous. If Derek is in Paris, there's a good chance he's staying there. Let's go." With that, we headed to Le Hôtel du Riche, a luxurious palace where the elite of the world stayed. The opulence was evident in the grand chandeliers, gold accents, and lush velvet drapes. Approaching the concierge, Ethan slipped him a folded note discreetly. The man glanced at it, nodded, and then leaned in. "Room 508, but be careful." With the intel in hand, our next step was to get to Derek's room unnoticed. Using Ethan's knowledge of the hotel's layout, we took a service elevator to the 5th floor. As we neared room 508, we could hear muffled voices. Pressing my ear to the door, I strained to make out the words. It sounded like Derek, and he was arguing with someone. "Shouldn't mess with me. This is too risky." That voice, I gasped silently. It was Alex. Taking a deep breath, I looked at Ethan. "We need a plan," I whispered. Ethan nodded. "First, let's find out where he's parked his Bugatti. We can use that as leverage." A few discreet questions to hotel staff and a generous tip later, we found out the Bugatti was parked in an underground hotel garage. But we needed to make sure Derek knew we had access to it. Pulling out my burner phone, I sent a text to Derek's known number. "How much do you think your precious Bugatti is worth?" Almost instantly, a reply buzzed in. "Who is this?" With a smirk, I sent a photo of the car keys, which Ethan had skillfully swiped from the valet. "Want these back? Release Alex." The message was bold, perhaps too bold, but it was a move I was willing to make. My husband's safety was on the line. Minutes felt like hours as we waited for a reply. Finally, it came. "Meet me at Pont des Arts at midnight. Come alone." I looked at Ethan, determination burning in my eyes. "I have to go. This is the only way." Ethan tried to dissuade me. "It's too dangerous. He's clearly unhinged." But I was resolute. "I can't risk Alex's life. We'll play Derek's game, but on our terms." As evening turned to night, the plan was set. Ethan would watch from a distance, ready to intervene if necessary, while I would face Derek head-on. The Pont des Arts, known as the Lovelock Bridge, was an ironic choice, but it would soon be a symbol of our triumph over betrayal. The Pont des Arts was bathed in a soft orange glow from the surrounding streetlights, creating an eerie yet romantic setting. The Seine flowed below, its waters glimmering in the night. I stood at the center of the bridge, my breath visible in the chilly night air. The usually crowded spot was deserted, save for a few distant lovers sharing whispered secrets. Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching. Turning, I saw Derek's silhouette emerging from the shadows, with Alex, my husband, tied and gagged, stumbling along beside him. "Derek!" I shouted, my heart pounding. "Let him go!" Derek just smirked. "Give me the keys first." I gripped the Bugatti keys tightly, considering my options. But the desperation in Alex's eyes made the decision for me. I held out the keys. "Release him, and they're yours." Derek paused for a moment, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "You always were so predictable, Lisa." As he reached out for the keys, a soft whistle broke the tension. Suddenly, from the shadows, Ethan lunged at Derek, trying to take him by surprise. but Derek was quicker than we anticipated. A scuffle ensued, both men wrestling each other, dangerously close to the edge of the bridge. "Lisa, run!" Ethan shouted, grappling with Derek. I hesitated for a moment, then made a break for it, pulling Alex along with me. But Derek, in a fit of rage, managed to push Ethan off him and lunged at us. In that heart-stopping moment, a brilliant idea flashed in my mind. I remembered the love locks couples attached to the bridge. Scrambling, I quickly locked a heavy chain around Derek's wrist, then snapped the other end onto the bridge's railing, effectively tethering him. He tried to free himself, but it was too late. Ethan, recovering quickly, pinned him down. Derek's arrogant sneer was now replaced with a look of pure rage and disbelief. "What do you want, Lisa?" he growled, struggling against his restraints. "Justice," I replied coldly. "You thought you could play with our lives? Think again." Ethan called the police, and within minutes we heard sirens approaching. Derek was arrested, and Alex, once he was freed and safe, wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. I was so scared. "We're a team," I whispered back, tears glistening in my eyes. "Always." Derek's luxurious Bugatti? Well, let's just say it made a generous donation to a local charity. And as for the infamous love lock, it became a symbol of our victory over betrayal. We returned to our hotel, exhausted from the ordeal. Our suite overlooked the Eiffel Tower, and the city lights twinkled, a stark contrast to the events that had transpired. Alex was quiet, lost in thought, staring out at the view. I walked over, placing my hand on his shoulder. "I'm so sorry you got dragged into all of this," I whispered, my voice heavy with guilt. He turned to me, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. "Lisa, none of this is your fault. Derek's vendetta was beyond any of our control." Despite the reassurance, the weight of the night bore down on me. I took a deep breath, trying to push back the tears. "I just wanted a perfect honeymoon." Alex smiled gently. "Well, it's definitely been memorable." We both laughed, but our laughter was a mask for the pain and shock of what had unfolded. A few days later, after giving our statements to the police, we decided to head to the Louvre. Surprisingly, the art and history offered a much-needed distraction. As we walked hand in hand through the museum, I felt the tension slowly dissipate. It was then, in the midst of the crowd, that I saw a familiar face. A woman with raven black hair, dressed in a sleek red dress. She was the receptionist at the hotel on the day Alex disappeared. My gut told me she was involved. She locked eyes with me, a smirk playing on her lips, and disappeared into a nearby gallery. I tugged Alex's arm, nodding in her direction. "We need to follow her." The chase led us through intricate hallways, past masterpieces, and into the Dinan wing. She was quick, always just out of reach, but she left a trail of subtle clues, a dropped handkerchief, a distinctive scent. Suddenly, she turned a corner and we lost sight of her. We entered a dimly lit room and the door slammed behind us. Panic surged as we realized we were trapped. The room was filled with mirrors, each reflecting our alarmed expressions. "I think we've just stepped into a trap," Alex whispered, his voice tense. From one of the mirrors, the woman emerged, stepping into the room as if by magic. "Indeed you have," she purred, her eyes cold and calculating. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded, fear and anger coursing through me. She smirked. "Because, dear Lisa, the game isn't over yet." "Who are you?" Alex's voice was steady, though I could feel his hand gripping mine tighter. Every instinct told me this was the moment everything came to a head. "My name is Isabel," she purred, circling us with predatory grace. "I was Derek's partner, in more ways than one. When you humiliated him, you humiliated me." "But it's not fair!" I exclaimed. Why are you taking revenge on us? We were just defending ourselves." Isabel paused, taking a deep breath. Her cold demeanor broke for a split second, and I saw the anguish behind her eyes. "After your prank, Derek became the laughing stock of our community. The humiliation was too much for him. He took his own life yesterday." My heart sank. I had known Derek was deeply embarrassed, but I hadn't known the true depth of his despair. The weight of his teeth pressed on me, making it hard to breathe. I had no idea," I murmured, guilt gnawing at me. "Of course you didn't," Isabella hissed, regaining her icy demeanor. "But that's why we're here. It's time to finish what Derek started." I stared at her, trying to piece together the situation. "And what would that be? Another elaborate game?" She smirked. "Exactly. What do you want?" Alex's voice was firm, his protective instincts kicking in. Isabel approached a grand mirror, its frame ornate and gold. "Behind one of these mirrors lies a door that will lead you to freedom. Behind the others? Well, let's just say they won't be so forgiving." The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. This was her revenge, a deadly game of chance. "I'll give you 5 minutes," Isabel declared, her eyes gleaming. "Good luck." She vanished as mysteriously as she'd appeared, leaving us surrounded by mirrors that seemed to mock our desperation. Each reflection twisted our features, showing the gravity of our situation. Alex and I quickly tried tapping on the mirrors, listening for hollow sounds. The minutes ticked away, and my heart raced faster with each passing second. "Think, Lisa," I whispered to myself. Then it hit me. The dropped handkerchief. The scent. Isabel wanted us to follow her. She wanted the game to be fair, in a twisted way. I approached a mirror to the far right, one that seemed to reflect the room with more clarity than the others. As I touched its surface, the mirror swung open, revealing a passageway. "This is it!" I shouted. Alex and I dashed through, just as the room behind us erupted in a cacophony of shattering glass. We didn't stop running until we were back in the crowded hallways of the Louvre. As we caught our breath, the weight of everything that had happened began to sink in. But amidst the chaos, there was one silver lining. Our relationship had been tested in the most unimaginable way, and we had come out stronger. We left Paris shortly after, our honeymoon forever marred by the events that unfolded. But as we began our lives together, one thing was certain. We could handle anything that came our way. Years passed, and the memories of that fateful trip began to fade. Yet, one evening, a package arrived at our doorstep. Inside was a framed photograph of us at the Louvre, taken by a stranger. On the back, a note simply read, "For the memories, Isabel." The game, it seemed, was never truly over.